Hi, this is Katie Shell, and this is my fifth video in the series of the principles of intuitive aromatherapy or aromatherapy for intuitive development. The reason I use both of those words really actually gets into the subject of today's video, of this particular session. And the principle that I'm focusing on, the fifth principle, is going to be that of language, because essential oils really give us an entirely new language in which that we can receive information from the earth with. So what happens is the essential oils are the plants, are the voices of the plants and the trees, and you'll see that across all of my across all of my work on essential oils is tuning into the voices of the plants and the trees. And this is a principle where we really work with that information, because each plant, each tree has its own properties, and these are all gifts from our Mother Earth, and they're all gifts from the Mother Earth that allow us to tune into her frequency and understand what it is our purpose is, what it is we need to do as we are walking this earth plane. So she can send us information by um, providing us with specific plants and trees in our path, in our awareness. But part of that, of course, is this is why I consider this the most academic piece of the principles, of the seven principles that I lay out, because you do have to then learn what all the plants and the trees means. You don't necessarily have to take the entire you don't have to buy lots of books, although there are lots of books. We have, of course, the Wisdom of the Earth certification course, which gets into a lot of them. We have our guidebook. We have Cynthia Oliveira, she's the educational director for Wisdom of the Earth. She has the Book of Anointing. All of these books are very, very supportive, and I do have them available on my website to understand the nuances, the different messages. But really, it's about, you can learn a few keywords for a few oils and start working with them as an oracle, working with them as understanding different things. And one of the examples I like to use is just thinking about with animals. People are pretty accustomed to looking at animals and what does this animal in my presence mean. I see a vision of an animal in my meditation. An animal actually, comes into my path, or connecting with an animal, whatever it is, we understand what that is, like a bear. So, bear, we understand that the symbolism of bear is about motherhood and about fierceness, about like fierce protective mother energy. Whole books on what bear means and what it can mean for you individually, because there's going to be layer upon layer upon layer about it. But we have a place to start there. And so, learning several, 5 or 10 oils and what their meanings are physically, spiritually, emotionally, will help you start to tune into that language of the plants and the trees. So then when you hear something, see something, you will get that message and be able to use that information then to help you in your next steps. And this will happen with me even when I'm doing a pure astrology reading. So many of my clients, I'm working kind of back and forth between essential oils, astrology, and other modalities as an intuitive healer and spiritual counselor. However, sometimes I'm just doing one or the other, and I will get those images, I will get those ideas of something like violet, which is about vulnerability. I'll start to smell violet while I'm doing a reading for somebody, and I'll know what to look for in their chart, or what kind of guidance to give them, because I'm starting to smell violet, or I'm getting the image of violet. They might not know what it means, but I know what it means, and it helps me. Pictures worth 1,000 words. I'm able to tune in better into what their needs are and what is going to help them the most at that time. Even if I'm not going to actually mention violet at all or recommend an essential oil, those words, that concept, that understanding of what violet means helps my guides tell me, or their guides tell me, what it is I need to tell them. So it just adds this other wonderful layer of language. And of course, you can, in fact, use them themselves as an oracle deck. And so one of the ways you can work with them is you set them up and use a pendulum, which is why I'm sitting on the floor with a little table in front of me for this particular video. And you can just go ahead and ask, what should I share with this little, with my, with whoever's watching this today? What do they need to hear? And so I see pendulum is choosing this oil here, which is rosemary. And so rosemary is about clarity, and it's about understanding our soul's contracts. It's about tapping into the ethers. It's about what our souls chose, what kind of lives we chose, and how to be in alignment with that, and what our next path, what the next step on our path is, even if we don't fully understand it, to help us trust that and help us feel whole. For me, the rosemary also connects with the Magdalene energy and the Mother Mary energy, because rose, the word rose and the word Mary is in there. So it's very mothering, it's very nurturing energy, but very much understanding what is in alignment, what are our next steps in our path, and helping us trust that. Even if we don't necessarily understand the outcome, even if we don't necessarily understand where we're going, rosemary can support us in working with that. And there's a whole video on rosemary. My Virgo video is on rosemary, so if you want more information on rosemary, go ahead and find that. So again, lots of different ways that we can work with it. And we will, if you do any of my classes, we will go over several of these. A couple that I just, I mentioned the violet, I just mentioned the rosemary. Laurel leaf is a really important one that comes up a lot for me because it's about courage. So if you are needing to be stronger, and it's interesting with the violet and the laurel leaf, I'll have those two kind of come up, because do I need more courage? Do I need to feel stronger? Do I need to stand up for myself better, or do I need to let myself be more vulnerable? And depending on the hit I'm getting, if I get a hit from violet, if I get a hit from laurel leaf, for somebody who's in fear, it's going to point me in a different direction on how to counsel them. So those two are really important. The which other ones did I say? Basil is a fabulous one, because it connects us with other lifetimes. I have received a reading where somebody was talking about basil, and it tuned me in instantly to understanding that all of this had to do with other lifetimes, and the importance of that. And so even though it had nothing to do with essential oils, and really even the specific phrasing wasn't related to that. So again, we hear these words and we see them and they come up in our life. What other ones did I bring out? Hyssop. Hyssop is an important one because it's about letting go. Myrrh is an important one because it's about balancing our ethereal and our physical. So if we're getting a signal from myrrh, that means that we probably need to bring those two things in balance. Maybe it's usually we're too up in our heads. We're usually too ethereal, and we need to come back and we need to ground that energy a little bit more. So myrrh will help us do that. Getting a hit from myrrh will help us understand that. Vetiver is purely about grounding. So it's about grounding and protection. It means that if you smell vetiver, it means that you need more protection. And you need to have that the person maybe needs stronger boundaries. And so again, all of these different, learning these things, even if it's just a few key words about 5 or 6 oils that you have on hand, or plants that you are surrounded with in your own life, will help you, again, tune into the voices of the plants and the trees, and be able to use aromatherapy for your intuitive development as an intuitive tool. So thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you at the next video. Bye.